For the 11th.
Hello and welcome to the finale for Power All Stars The Pit. After like 45 days, 46 days of a crazy cast and a pretty cracked, fucked up format, we are left with just three people fighting for the crown of winner of All Stars. So with me, we have Eddie Marshall from season 4, Sam DeMott from season 5, and Stephen Lehman from seasons 4 and 6. Great job, Powerhouse Seasons. You did that. So, how this is going to work is each finalist is going to have 5 minutes for an opening statement. We are going to go in a random order that was predetermined. So, Eddie, Stephen, then Sam. After that, each of our 10 lovely jurors will come in. They will have 10 minutes each to question the finalists. And then after that, each finalist will have an additional 5 minutes for a closing statement. Then all of our jurors will vote and we will be left with a winner. So without any further ado, we are going to start with Eddie. So Eddie, you have 5 minutes whenever you are ready.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so coming into this game, I was really overwhelmed when I saw the format because it was really challenge-based, and I am a social and strategic player, not a physical player at all. So I was super overwhelmed, but I realized that right from the jump, I had to adapt. But right at the start, I started getting targeted to go into the pit because I had like no connections going in. The only real good connections I had were Ty and Sherry, and they were gone in the first 2 rounds. So I was starting from scratch, which made social game an uphill battle, but I knew I could do it. I aligned with Roy because we both got targeted together. And then I made a quick bond with Curtis, which took me places in the game, I feel. And from there, I made a sub-alliance with Sam that we worked on kind of through the pre-jury. It got stronger as the jury approached. But all of these bonds really like paid off for me in noticeable ways. For example, a social bond that paid off was round 1 when I was targeted to go into the pit. I went to Chris Brown and I was like, please don't vote me in. And we only had one conversation and he didn't. And that was one of the votes that helped save me. During the Cody elimination nominations, I was being targeted and I went to Robbie and asked him not to vote me. And I went to Sam, which was a big risk, and she didn't vote for me. And that saved me from going into the pit. My strategic game was also something I needed to compensate with because I wasn't a good physical player. The Cody vote, I feel like, was my first strategic move in the game because I realized that when he threw me into that chat, I was getting labeled as part of that alliance, and I had to do something to get that stigma away from me. So I was like, you know what? If they're voting for me and Cody, then goodbye, Cody. I have to save myself. So I went to Sam and I was like, girl, like, can you please save me? I don't want to work with like that side. Like, that's not what I want to do. This is limiting my game. And she said she would save me. And then I went to Robbie and he also said that. And then Cody and Austin went into the pit. So that was a success. Um, the next move was more of a controversial one, and it was the Gabe vote. I realized that even after Bryce was gone, I was still getting lumped in with that side. So I was like, I need to do something to save myself in this pit, and Gabe already wants to come in. So I got on call with Sam and I explained how I wanted to make a move, and she volunteered to go into the pit, and then me, Steven, and Sam voted off Gabe, which was, I got a lot of backlash for, but it also opened up the board a lot for me going further into the game. Once the jury hit, and even in pre-jury, one of my biggest things was being very adaptable. During challenge pit rounds, I never nominated people that I felt would affect my game. It was only people I didn't exactly talk to a lot. And when I got nomination votes myself, I never took them personally because I knew I had to adapt in the upcoming rounds. Um, and I also worked with people that were kind of unexpected. Like after Dustin and I fought on Live Night, I still tried to work with him the round after because I knew it was good for my game. One of the biggest adaptations I had to make was after Roy got eliminated before Live Night. I realized that the alliance of Roy, Robbie, Austin, and I was a sinking ship. So I made a deal with Pat and Sam to keep me safe during Live Night. I wouldn't vote them out for eviction, and I wouldn't evict them. And I knew they were going to win all the challenges, so it just made a lot of sense to me to do that, despite it like being an emotional struggle for me. And it paid off. And the last thing was I bit the bullet when it came down to physical pits, and I was able to fight my way out of them, even though I'm not a physical player. So when Petal came to the metal, I was able to pull through. And all those reasons combined, I feel like are why I deserve to win. And that's all.
Thank you, Eddie. All right, next up will be Sam. Not Sam, Steven. Sorry. Steven, go ahead whenever you're ready.
All right. Good evening to everyone here. Just want to preface my statement thanking production and the viewers as well as the cast for making this as cracked of a season as it has been, and as I'm sure it will continue to be over the next few hours. Um, so coming into this game, I had a perception attached to me, and that was one of being a nice guy, a follower, someone who was loyal, someone who certainly had some strategic chops, but would generally put that on the back burner for his social connections. So knowing that I had that perception attached to me coming in, that's what I wanted to utilize when it came to particularly the first half of this game. So I aligned myself quickly with Sam, Patrick, and Bryce, all people who I got along quite well with, but all people who I knew at the end of the day were much higher threat levels than I was. And that was kind of the recurring theme that I approached throughout this game. Whoever I aligned with, I knew that I could be close to them on a social level. I knew that I could be close to them on a strategic level. But at the end of the day, I knew that I was going to be the lowest priority target. And it showed because in every single round when there were pit nominations, I did not go in. The only time I went in a pit was if I failed miraculously in a challenge, which we can say happened multiple times over the course of the season. Um, but I think the bulk of my game consisted on having good relationships, whether it was with people who I had played with, 2, 3 years ago, or people who I met this game. Someone like Austin, for example, I didn't know him from any other person in this community, and he and I formed a fairly close bond throughout the course of the game. Even someone who I, sort of knew in past seasons, someone like Eddie and Roy, people who I didn't get the chance to work with last time I played. I never was shy about being an open door. If people wanted to talk to me, I'd be open to it. But there was never a situation where I would just shut down and ignore people, particularly once jury phase started. I think one of the most instrumental points of my game would probably be the Gabe vote, because at this point, Eddie and I were in the pit with Dustin, and at this point, Gabe and Kirsten wanted to come in to very much easily take out one of Eddie or I. So we could have easily just laid down, let them come in, but we said, no, we're going to fight and do something about it. So we shored up numbers and were able to get Gabe out right before jury, which is a pretty monumental thing, if you ask me. Um, in terms of other things that I did throughout this game, I'd say my biggest skill set was my ability to work on relationships with people. Even if I had people nominating me, even if I had people targeting me, I didn't let that affect how I played this game. I didn't let that turn a blind eye to how I played. Eddie nominated me earlier on in the game, and he and I, particularly as the last 2 weeks have gone on, have gotten quite close. So I think a big component of my game was adaptability as well. But I also wasn't afraid to stick to my guns for people I was trusting. That showed in Live Night when I tried to do the 4-to-4-to-4-to-4 split in order to have a last ditch effort to save Robbie and Austin. I wanted to show them that I was true to them, despite some inconsistencies prior to that. But at the end of the day, I'd say another thing that just really buttered my bread was at Final Six with the pit. I thought I was dead because of the cups, but damn it, I came through. And that's sort of been, I think, an overall metaphor for my game. Even when my back looks like it's up against the wall, damn it, I'm going to push through. And damn it, I'm going to be myself all the way through. So I look forward to answering all of your questions tonight, jury. And thanks.
All right. Last up, Sam.
Okay. Hi. I hope I don't repeat myself. I've been told I do that a lot, so forgive me in advance. I think compared to the other guys here, I came out on top only because I'm not just a social player, I'm not just a strategic player, but I'm also a challenge person. I won 5, 6 different immunities outside of one really embarrassing flub in a challenge. The 3 other times I ended up in the pit were completely by my own choosing. One time when I went to half the cast and said, put me in, I'm taking out a perceived big target in Gabe. And then at final 5, I convinced Patrick to throw with me. And then at final four, I also convinced him to throw at me so that we could both get to the end, and then strategically cut him because I wasn't going to beat him. Socially, I think I did as best as I could. I know people really are a big thing about relying on prior connections. And I know Jess brought this up at one point about how people are always going to rely on their prior connections. I came into this game only really knowing Bryce and Ty didn't help anybody here. And Bryce, I think, just put a bigger target on my back. So arguably it didn't help me at all. And I think everyone on the jury outside of Dustin, who I had played before, can attest, like, you guys had no idea who I was before this. So I couldn't rely on those connections. I made genuine social connections with most of the cast just by being there for you guys, by not being afraid to throw names out, which I think was huge for me. I think when people are afraid to throw names out and rely on other people, it makes them seem less trustworthy because then they're acting kind of shady. And I wasn't afraid to tell you guys names if I was working with you. I know some of the people on the jury I never worked with, but the people who did hopefully remember me saying that stuff. I was an open book to people. I made it seem okay when people who I was aligned with got voted out. This way no one thought I was holding anything against them, so I didn't put an unnecessary target on my back. Unlike Steven, I knew I wasn't a low priority target in major alliances because I could win challenges when I needed to. So I was fighting up against that. Compared to the other guys here, I never had to go to a group and beg for my life. Like, I always made sure I had a group that was ready to fight for me, or I always made sure I won immunities so I didn't have to deal with it. Strategically, I think I was always thinking a few rounds ahead. So, for instance, getting Jess out kind of stranded Dustin a little bit, which became really useful for live night as a number, and using things that Jess told me on her way out to help convince Dustin to work with me. Getting Roy out also kind of stranded Eddie a little bit, since that was his very, very close ally. So I knew I would kind of be his go-to closest ally at that point. Especially going into final 5 and final 4, I thought was going to be a super big help because he wouldn't cut me over any of these other guys left. And then keeping Patrick at 5 and getting Dustin out instead, even though I had convinced Eddie and Dustin that I would get Patrick out at 5, I think was huge. Dustin, I know you completely hate me for it, but I knew you were going to come at me at final 4. And if I cut you at 5, then I knew none of the 3 guys left were going to cut me and I'd make it here. So I think it was big. I had to keep my meat shield in the game because I had already convinced him to throw at final 4 and I knew I could cut him at that point. So I don't know if I have anything else. Yeah, I think I maintained a triple threat in this game in a way that the other 2 guys couldn't. And I hope that's enough. That's it.
Thanks, Sam. All right. At this point, we have sent the link to the first juror. And they will be there. They will be here soon. And yeah, good luck. I had a lot of fun hosting this season. To all the All-Stars watching, thank you. This has been a blast, even though it was kind of crazy to host. Because I don't know what's happening in terms of other seasons after this. So if this was the last season of the series, I'm very happy with it and how it went. Just because life is getting very hectic and I don't know if I'll have time to host anymore. So just on that note, hopefully the other juror is here soon.
Jordan, I made you something.
Yikes. What is it?
Want me to just show you?
Kind of. All right. Where is juror number 1? I'm going to see if they're on Facebook. Stop!
I should probably talk so everyone can see what it says.
God.
Best piece of advice that I've ever heard.
It's a great piece of advice, but our friendship at that point was very texting based. Where is the freaking first juror? All right, we're gonna skip the first juror for now, just because I don't know where he is. So we're gonna go to the second juror until I get a hold on where the first juror ran off to.
To be jury house is quite big, so he probably just got lost.
Or is this reverse order? What? Isn't the... Oh, no, they chose the order based on, like, availability. Yeah, so we didn't go, like, in order of, like, how they got eliminated. Someone is on the way, though. But they weren't expecting to go right now, so it's just going to take them a second. Sorry to the viewers. All right. Hey, Chris, sorry for like throwing that on you last minute. I don't know where the first juror went. You have 10 minutes starting now.
Hi. It's been a long time. I mean, I haven't really I talked to Eddie mostly in this game of the three of you who are here. So I really feel like I have a firm grasp and understanding in terms of his game. I've been really listening attentively to everyone as they come into the jury as much as I can to try to keep up with everything going on. So I have a very live vote tonight because I don't really have a lot of insight and haven't really been following as closely as everyone else that's been in the jury. So I'll just start with a little blurb to each person and then just kind of give you the opportunity to explain anything that you feel would be important for me and my vote. Eddie, I'm actually very proud of you. Like you said, that round one when we had our conversation and we really bonded and connected. And I felt like we really kept a good bond throughout the entirety of the game, as much as we could, with me not really being as present as I probably would normally be in a game. So I really have a lot of insight into your journey, and I'm proud of how you were able to kind of adapt with your weaknesses, which I can relate because I suck at challenges too. We related quite a bit on that. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to let you know that, and good luck. Sam, I have heard a lot of really, really great things about you, but unfortunately we only ever had one conversation, and it was about LaCroix Water, the official sponsor for tonight. So I guess I have the perspective of a lot of the members in the jury, which I feel is very great, but I wanted to kind of give you the opportunity to specifically address me with anything that you feel would be important to try to gain my vote. So I'll give you that opportunity now.
Oh, cool. So basically, once we got to around the jury segment, was really when I had to play a little harder. Because before that I was able to win a lot of immunities, and I kind of made good connections with the perceived our side versus your side. And so the first thing I got to do was get Gabe out, which was big, making that connection with Eddie enough that he trusted me enough to get Gabe out, who was pushing to be in the pit. So that round I'd gone to a bunch of people, said, put me in. I trust Eddie, I trust Steven. I'm going to save Steven so he's always a number with me. Let's get him out. It blew up both sides. Unfortunately, there were still people like you and Kirsten who I just never had conversations with outside of our beautiful LaCroix Water conversations. So it was hard to form more of a bond. And I know you had a lot of personal stuff going on. So it was just hard. So that was unfortunate. So there were still some people I never really got to talk a bunch to. But besides that, I've got pretty good social connections with the rest of the cast. And a lot of what I did was I always had my main group, which was usually Patrick and Steven. And then they kind of formed additional bonds with Jess and Chris. But I always knew them two were going to be more loyal, I guess, to Patrick and Steven than me. So I made sure when those people had to get cut off, they got cut off. And I always kind of maintained a good bond with like Robbie and Austin and Curtis because we had a good bond before that. And I knew if I could stay better with them, they weren't talking as much to Patrick, who was a perceived big target. So if I could maintain good with them and like targeting Jess, which was what they wanted and not what Patrick and Steven and Chris wanted, was good to keep me in their good graces because then I never got targeted. Everyone thought I was more in the middle and never pegged me with one particular group, which was good. I always knew where I was voting. I always knew exactly who I wanted out. And every time I made it seem like I was more on the fence, people were coming to me begging me to keep them. Like, Jeff, ignore the dog. He agrees. Griff, shush. Dude, sit. So Jess came to me asking me to keep her. She thought I was going to work with her. I was behind a lot of the planning to get her out. I know she was close with you too, but you know, it is what it is. Like getting Chris out on a balance challenge I knew he was bad on was kind of big too. Like convincing Dustin and Eddie to all vote for him and Patrick to not throw himself in at that point was big. I knew Patrick was more loyal to me than Chris was. So little things like that. Even Robbie was coming to me begging to save him, but I already knew a few days before like that he was going to go during live night. So I think I was very in control of my game and a few other people's games. And I always kind of knew when to cut people. So I think that's kind of what I did.
Yeah, so I will say that very, very early, I don't remember who I said it to when it came down to like everyone knowing about like the 4-person alliance. I always said that
5 minutes left, Chris. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, sure. I always said that when they were kind of like dissecting and everyone's like Bryce, I always was like, I think that the most dangerous person of that group is you. So I'm glad that you lived up to that.
Love it.
And then for Steven, so I think you really touched a lot in terms of a lot of what I would say to you right now in your opening statement in terms of like how people perceive you. I will say for me personally, I think that you lived up too much to those perceptions in terms of really following and not really owning, you know, like really forging a path for yourself in the game. I know you have to do the best that you can to work with your situation. And I understand adaptability is important, but I really just wish that you would have maybe stepped outside of that perception a little more. I will give you a chance to just kind of say anything. I mean, we had a relationship coming into this game. And I mean, in the beginning, I definitely did have interest in working with you, but it was pretty apparent that it wasn't reciprocated, especially when you voted for me and then ghosted me after it. So I just want to give you the opportunity to just kind of like defend anything, like to say anything that you feel in this moment to defend your game.
Yeah, so thank you for bringing that up. So for me, at least for the first portion of the game, I wanted to stay in that box because I knew that in that situation when I was in that sort of box or perception, folks would not target me. And in a game such as this, when there are so many big players, big targets, just big personalities, sometimes the best plan is to just stay back. And I will be the first to admit that's generally what I do, regardless of what a game is. So I can understand the idea that I stayed in that realm for too long. That being said, when it came to working with you, I put this in my confession a lot of times. I did want to work with you, but the problem for me was I felt like for so long it was in that side mentality. And I felt like we were on different sides. And at the time, I thought that for me to bridge that gap, it would just absolutely blow up my game. So that was sort of my rationale right now. And I mean, I still wanted to have a relationship with you. And, I did make inroads or I attempted to, at least as the game went on. But I would say that for me, living up to that perception was what I needed to do to survive. I knew that if I sort of went with my cracked ass self like I was last season, where I was just flipping on everyone left, right, and center, it would blow up in the face of me and it would just send my ass to pre-jury or jury. So for me, my concern was advancing advancing. And maybe I should have prioritized, giving a different perception to people. But for me, my concern was I can't argue my case if I'm not there in the first place. So yeah.
It's true. You made it this time. So congratulations. Congratulations to you all. And for me, this gave me a lot of what I needed, and it will definitely, I'm still going to watch everyone else. I'm still not fully decided, but I'm getting there. So congratulations, guys.
Thank you, Chris.
Shit, I meant to tell him I still wanted to have our Chipotle outing that we were supposed to have after last season.
Steven, now you're probably not going to win.
Next person's on the way.
Thanks.
That was the key right there.
One down, 8, maybe 9 to go. One person is a maybe. So they put a voting list just in case they don't get here. Also, whoever wins, I'm probably ordering your blanket tonight because I have a coupon code for 50% off.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Jess, you have 10 minutes.
Okay. I had like an essay planned that I was going to say. It was similar to the size that I sent you, Sam. Very big, very detailed, poured my heart and soul into it. But I guess I'm not going to go with that. I listened to your guys' opening statements, and I have a few thoughts on that. So I was going to come in my speech and be a dick to all of you guys, say a bunch of mean stuff. But I didn't want to prove Steven right when he said I was a bully and mean, and when he lied about me on my season to the jury. So thankfully, I don't have to do that with you, Steven. I don't need to lie to make your game look bad. It kind of sucked on its own. And your absurd, passive, leech kind of like gameplay kind of ruins this for me. If you aren't in the game to win it, I don't know why you sign up. And especially if you're aware that you look like a goat, I don't know why you don't change that, especially at like final 10, when I said stuff to you, you chose not to go against that. Or you just, and when other people said stuff about you, you just didn't change anything. So there's that. I guess that's not a question. So I do have questions for you, Eddie and Sam. The people that I would put as, not absolute dumpster garbage tier. Sam, so I kind of just want to know why you weren't honest with me when you were voting me out. So what I was told by some of the jury is that you had already, that you pushed for me to go and that you were well aware of that and you wanted me to go before I even came to you and said stuff to you. So I want to know why, after me trying to convince you, thinking that maybe you'd vote with me, why you chose not to and you chose to lie about that. It did really upset me for a while, and I think I have a few ideas on why you chose to do that, but I want to know, in your words, why you did that. Let me think. What else do I want to ask you? Also, for the last 2 challenges, you and Pat threw them, from my understanding. Was that your ideas or Patrick's idea? And how much weight did you have in decision-making? How much do you rely on them and whatnot? So I'll let you think about that while I ask Eddie his questions, then you can get back to me. So Eddie, you actually have a decent shot at getting my vote tonight, more so than I thought. And I had some questions planned for you, but in your speech, it really made me change my mind on a few things. And one of the things you actually said is that you jumped from one sinking ship when you were talking about the 4-person alliance that I talked about. And then it really made me think about what your game was. And I'm like, did you just jump from one sinking ship to another sinking ship with the alliance that you didn't want to be tied down to, with Kirsten and me and Gabe and Dustin? You didn't want to be associated with that. So you jumped ship to go on with other people to jump another ship. And I'm like, why didn't you take control? Why weren't you the captain of this and decided things? You were in a good position a lot of times. I, for one, adore you, and some of our conversations were the best conversations I've had in this game. And it's just why, if you told me to do something, I probably would have gone and done it. Like, I really, really liked you, and I know you probably weren't the biggest fan of me, but I don't know why you didn't take control of things. So, like, if you can change my mind on that and, like, tell me when you were like, hey, I'm going to go do this, and I planned in advance, and this is what I want to happen, then please tell me about that. And, yeah, okay. I think that's it for now that I want to ask. So, Sam, you can start with some of the stuff I said to you if you have comments on that.
Yeah. So the round you went, I did have more of a hand in it than I let on to you. Like, I definitely was the one going to people and saying, hey, this would be a really good round to get you out. A lot of people had already said your name at that point. So it was actually very easy to say your name again at that point. And as much as you had told me you wanted to work with me, it was so hard to believe you. I knew you were building better relationships with Chris and with Dustin and with Patrick than with me. And so I never really wanted anyone to get to a certain level in the game where I was like third, fourth, fifth on their list. I definitely was like, okay, the people who have 2 or 3 people ahead of me, like, we got to cut them. And at that point, I know some of the stuff you'd sent me this long, paragraphs and paragraphs essay. And it's awesome. It gave me a bunch of really useful information. That worked really nicely. Like, one of the things you had said was to split the vote on you and Steven, and then Dustin and Roy, I think, would have had a 50-50 shot at that point. But you had also mentioned that same breath that you and Dustin were super tight. So I was able to use that, go to Dustin and be like, hey, it's weird that Jess is kind of giving you a 50% chance of this game, but just so she could stay. And he was ready to jump ship immediately at that point. So it kind of worked really well. It gained a lot of trust with him for me to do that. So I knew I'd have more trust with him at that point and like, I'd be higher on his hierarchy basically than you were. So unfortunately, I tried to tell you towards the end. I definitely didn't want to tell you earlier in the day because then you might not have come to me with a bunch of information. So I had to use it for what I had to use it for. I thought you were an awesome person, and God knows if you had stayed much longer, like, you would have gotten your footing and you'd be here. Like, I knew if you stayed that round, you were making really good connections that you didn't have earlier in the game. So it was a better choice than not to get you out. Like, I didn't want to be replaceable in that group, if that makes sense. That's kind of what it came down to. It also helped me look really trustworthy to that other group of people. I already knew Patrick, Steven, and Chris were with me. I didn't know how trusted I was to, like, the Robbie, Austin, Roy, Eddie at that point. But when I was voting with them there, it made me look more in the middle than I was. So it did a lot for my game, honestly, getting you out. I'm sorry. For the last 2, convincing Patrick to throw the last 2 competitions, definitely me. Oh, she left. Did you kick her out?
Just keep going. I think her internet might have booted her.
Oh, getting Patrick to throw the last 2 competitions was a lot of me. We obviously, like, talked about it a lot together, but I had basically, for the final 5 one, I had been in a conversation with Eddie and Dustin and convinced them that I would throw the competition. And then I'd convinced Patrick that the 2 of us would throw the competition and told Dustin and Eddie, hey, I'm throwing this. Patrick's going to throw it too, just not as bad. This way you guys can vote him and whichever one of you survives, basically, isn't immune into the pit. Because at that point, only the immune and the pit person had votes that round. That's all that mattered. And it was inside pit voting. So I'd convinced them both to do it. Basically, I told Patrick, listen, if you don't throw it at final 5, you're going to have to win the next 2. Nobody else here wants to keep you but me. So I think I had more of the leadership in those 2 decisions than he did. It was a pretty even, like, we definitely talked out what all the options were together, but I think I definitely had a bit of an upper hand because he knew he was the biggest target at 5. And then I don't remember what else you asked. I'm sorry.
I think that was mostly everything. I think, yeah, that's good enough. That was a really good answer. So thank you for that.
Yep.
And then Eddie, if you want to address anything that I said to you, you have some time to do that now.
Okay, so you said the jumping sinking ship to sinking ship. So I didn't want to be associated with the Gabe and Kirsten and that whole group. So that's when I made an alliance called Brunch. It was me, Curtis, Robbie, and Roy, and we all kind of collaborated together. And we had, like, access of information from all sides of the game, sort of. So we're able to kind of, like, sneakily kind of navigate through, like, the late pre-jury phase, and no one really knew about that alliance. But the reason I couldn't really take control is because I didn't really have that physical power to get immunity, and that makes me, when I have immunity, I can be more risky and take more risks. So I was kind of like forced into that situation of the sinking ship, but like I was always trying to like take control of my game and like not let myself be pawned by anyone. Like I would every like decision I made, I like calculated it and made sure it was good for my game. And if I felt that I was being taken advantage of or used as a number, that's why I didn't go along with some plans. And I did not know that you liked me so much. I kind of like didn't know how to like get a good vibe on you, because like on your confessionals and your meet me video, you were this like stone cold strategic like bitch, and I loved it. I was like, oh, this queen. And then we got on call and you were so nice and stuff, and I was like, oh no, like am I being played? Like so I was always very skeptical, but I did enjoy our conversation.
1 minute, by the way, 1 minute.
What?
And yeah, I hope that answered all your questions.
Okay, sorry. That was I have a minute. Okay, so Steven, okay, I guess quickly, you were aware people perceived you as a goat. You told me that. Why didn't you do anything to change that? Did something big, get your name out there? Why? I don't understand.
Yeah, so for me, my concern was I wanted to utilize that perception of being a goat to my advantage, in the sense that I knew that if I had
Okay,
people...
wait, never mind. I'm gonna actually stop you there. There's a difference between using being perceived as a goat and then legitimately becoming a goat.
Okay.
What was the move that you did that earned you not goat status?
I would say trying to force the tie at Live Night on Final 8, attempting to try to make something happen there.
Attempting to make something happen. Okay, cool. That's all the questions I have. Congratulations, Final 3. You guys did a good job with my answers, I suppose. So
Thanks,
farewell.
Jess. You can head back to the jury. Perfect. All right, guys. Next juror is able to come here.
Is this the right order?
Yeah. Hey, Curtis.
Okay.
You have 10 minutes.
Well, I'm not as intellectual as Jess or as nice as Chris Brown. So, is this the right order?
Yeah. Hey, Curtis.
Oh my God, am I echoing?
Curtis, you need to stop the YouTube link.
Well, I'm not as intellectual as Jess or as Hold on, you guys. I'm sorry. So, I'm so sorry. Hold on. I don't know where it is.
Yeah, hey, Curtis.
Oh my God, it's somewhere.
Curtis, you need to stop the
It's somewhere
YouTube
on
link.
here. I'm really sorry, you guys. I don't know where it is. I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm so sorry. Hold on. Yeah, I still don't know.
Curtis,
Hold on
right
a second.
click
Let me
on
go
Google
somewhere
Chrome,
else.
right
I'll go
click
on
on
my
whatever
phone
you
and then
need
it'll
to
get better.
stop
Hold on one second. Hold on one second.
God, I love Curtis.
Done that like countless times.
That was so
And he
good.
won one of our season.
As soon as you come on the Hangout, like the link that you were watching disappears into like an abyss on your computer, and it's impossible to find.
Is that better?
Yeah, you're good.
That was a mistake. Anybody who laughed at me
Yeah,
automatically.
Curtis, I'm restarting your time.
Okay. I don't know. Like, Steven, you probably don't have my vote. I don't think anybody really wants to vote for you, honey. I'm sorry. Sam and Eddie both played such good games, and you both were awesome and really fun to talk to. Sam, quick question for you. Like, when I went home, I think you weren't around, but if you were around, like, to put me in the pit, would you have done it?
Shoot, I really don't know. It kind of worked to my advantage. I didn't want you in the pit. I thought I'd be safe whether you were there or not. I forget who else was in there at that point.
I was like me, Robbie, Austin, and then like Steven and Dustin or something like that. I don't know. It was me and Robbie got voted in.
Okay, I think I felt safe regardless if you were in there or not. You had actually told me before that you weren't going to vote me out. So I actually told people, hey, I really don't want Curtis in the pit. I don't want Austin in the pit. They've already promised me that they wouldn't vote me out regardless. So if anything could happen with that, like, please keep them out. When you got voted in, like, yeah, I didn't vote you in. I've done my votes before that. They already kind of had the votes without me. So I probably wouldn't have switched only to maintain a good relationship with you. But I did know it very late in the like right before the votes came out, like that you were going to get the most votes, I think. So honestly, I probably wouldn't have switched. It just kind of worked to my advantage that I wasn't around and everyone knew I wasn't around. So I just played it up as much as I could at that point.
Gotcha. Yeah, you were so much fun. You were awesome. And Eddie, I love you. You're awesome too. You know that. Question for Eddie. Because you're so like fascinating to me because everybody loves you. Like everybody said you were the most fun person to talk to. And like you had you know what I mean? You had like the best social game of literally everybody. Even Jess said that. And you weren't even like working with Jess, which is really like impressive that you're able to maintain that. I wasn't able to maintain that. So what was like, if everything went your way, because I don't think you wanted like me to get voted out or Robbie to get voted out after me. So if everything like went your way and we were all like singing Dixie, what was like your optimum end game?
My optimum endgame is kind of tricky because all the people I really liked in this game, I felt like would be a struggle to beat at the final 3. I definitely wanted you there because our bond was so like strong. But I don't know. I definitely wanted you, and I would have to kind of like make the decision because I didn't really think really like long term. It was more of like I thought like the game was too fluctuating to think that far ahead, and if I was constantly thinking about that, it would bite me. So I would say in my confessional, I was like, this is kind of what I'm thinking, but like I don't even want to think that far ahead right now. I just need to like go round to round basis, and I guess it would be you, me, and either Roy or Austin, maybe. I knew I couldn't take Robbie to the end because he was so well connected, and Austin wasn't really that connected. And if I was thinking with my heart, I would take Roy, and if I was thinking with my brain, I would take Austin. And that's pretty much my optimal end game.
Okay, cool. Okay, yeah, the both of you, it's really hard to choose between you. So like really fast, you don't have a lot of time to think. And like don't go on and on, but say like the nicest, most genuine thing you can about me. Sam, go first, go.
Oh my God, you were genuinely the funniest person. I've told you this in this game by far. I think you had the most charming personality, and it's amazing that you got cut ever because I think everyone genuinely loved you the most and found you the most entertaining to be around. And I know I did. Like, I found every comment you said was so fucking funny and sassy. And like the second you were out of this game, I was like, but where's Curtis's comment about this? Like, and that's honest. You were by far the most charming individual in this game.
Thank you. That's very sweet. Eddie?
Well, definitely you're really hot. And during the game, you always like, I don't know, made me feel good and always like made me smile. So I guess like you're like super charismatic and like attractive. So I think you're my favorite person on the cast by far.
Okay, thank you so much. And Steven, no offense, honey, I just wasn't gonna vote for you, but like good job for making it here and stuff. Okay, bye.
All right, king of using only 4 minutes. All right, next juror is on their way.
Damn, Eddie telling him he looks good. Now I know I didn't get his vote.
Gotta play the cards you're dealt, honey.
Oh, we found Austin. That was the missing juror. Austin.
No, you found me.
Austin, you have. It was supposed to be the other juror. One of you has to leave, and one of you has to go after the other.
I'm sorry, I just found the link.
Either one of you has to. Austin, can you leave and come when Chris is done?
Yeah, go ahead.
He can go if he wants. I don't care.
No, go, Chris.
Okay.
Chris, you have 10 minutes.
Or not. First of all, hi. Well done. I don't have a plan at all. At this point, my vote is definitely like 90% set, and it's set on Sam. The other 10% is Eddie. Eddie, I didn't catch most of your opening statement, so when you talk, I just kind of want you to lay like why you think you deserve to win over Sam out for me. I know me and you didn't talk much, especially in like the latter half of the game. Like we kind of talked a little bit back and forth in the beginning, but not a lot. So I just don't have that much visibility into your game. I kind of asked questions to the jury after I was out to try and, you know, get some kind of idea of like the way you played. Obviously you did something right because you're there. And let me think about what else I need to say or ask. Yeah, Steven, I'm kind of just gonna echo Curtis. Like I love you, but like the GOAT mentality. I felt like you definitely accepted it at a certain point. And that's unfortunate that you kind of accepted it and didn't do anything. And to your point of like the one move you tried to make was at Final 8, but like that didn't make any sense because all you did was write my name down when I had no chance of going home. And like the votes were there to get out. Who, you know what I mean? Like the votes were still not even close to being there. So it just kind of felt like a waste. Like given that you did that at Final 8, if you had not won at Final 7, I was going to try and see if I could get you in the pit just because I was like so confused by that whole rationale. Let me think. So Sam, one thing that you had said that I wanted to kind of get a little more clarification on just now was like on Curtis's question actually. Was you had said that like he asked if like you would have voted him in the pit. If I remember correctly, you definitely knew relatively early on, not like last minute, that like we were pushing for that. Because I had brought it up and you had said something along the lines of like let me know if like I need to change my vote or whatever. So you definitely like were aware that plan was like kind of information. I'm mostly just clarifying, or like if you could give a little clarification just so that Curtis can also know kind of how that went down since that was the round he got out. Because from my perspective, it was kind of like a tight group pushing for it, and then you had already put in your votes for someone else.
Oh yeah, so I knew you guys were forming the plan earlier, but you hadn't come to me and saying the votes are there to get him until a little later in the day, if I remember right. So earlier in the day, basically what I was referring to was that the votes weren't there until a little later. If that makes sense. And that was the point where I wasn't able to take my phone out for hours at a time. Otherwise, I literally would have like lost a boyfriend that night too.
Right.
That's all I meant by it.
Yeah, I think I'm just trying to make sure that the perspective is as accurately known for like everyone, including me, in the jury. Because like it could come off as like you were avoiding people knowing that like a close ally was going in, which I also respect because I did that multiple times, like just kind of like staying away from the pit vote talks. So I just wanted to understand kind of more of how that went down. I also, this is just like back to the Final 6 when I got out. Like you kind of phrased it in a way earlier that really annoyed me. It was like you like getting Chris to like go, like y'all voted me out effectively because I had told you guys, which that was my own mistake, to like come forth with knowledge that I was not going to be good at a certain thing, which is fine. I can own that. But you definitely used it against me. And honestly, I give you credit. It's probably why you're going to get my vote, is that you got me out at 6, because if I had a way to get you out at 6 or 5, then that was what I was going to try and do. And Patrick knew that. So beat me to the punch, and I can't balance cups. So fun fact. And also Layman and Eddie, congrats on that. Cause I was like, I don't know how you did it with the nerves and everything. I actually got on a call for like 90 minutes with Roy, which was also our first 90 minutes on call. This was after I was out. And I like literally did the 5 cups like just right in front of him chilling. So I was in like literally 30 seconds because I didn't have any nerves. So but yeah, more power to you guys for doing that and surviving.
You have 5 minutes left, Chris.
Thank you. I'm gonna flip it to Eddie real quick and give him kind of a chance to take into account anything that I've said, anything that's been said so far, and just kind of like explain to me your game, explain to me kind of like your perspective of certain people, including me or excluding me, just kind of like how you kind of weaved your way.
Okay, so I didn't really have any connections coming into this except for people from my season, and Roy and I were the only ones from my season. Steven was also, but like he didn't really make merge or anything. So Roy was the only one going into this that I kind of like knew and had like a good rapport with. So I kind of had to make a bunch of connections that I didn't already have. And I wasn't good at challenges. So I had to really compensate with a social and strategic game. And I think the reason that you and I never really talked was because you were busy with your other game for the first half. And we only had like small, like here and there conversations. And then when you started playing, it was very apparent that you were really close with Pat and Sam and that whole group. So I was kind of like, if I was trying to go to you and make moves, I didn't know if the conversations would leak and it would hurt my game. So I just kind of had to, you can't play a good social game with every single person on the cast. You're going to get exposed as the biggest threat. So that was kind of my mindset. And you just happened to be one of the people that I didn't get to talk to all that much. And if you don't vote for me, I completely understand why, because we didn't really have a good working relationship or anything. But I think that my game, when I did compensate for not having immunities and stuff like that, I think that was really strong. And I do think that the adaptability was something that not, well, I mean, like people did adapt, but like I feel like a lot of people held nomination votes personal and stuff like that. And I never did that because I knew that I was going to have to be working with literally anyone to survive round to round because my allies kept like dropping beside me. So I was like really fighting an uphill battle, I feel like. And when I went into pits, I like challenge based ones, I like really had to like put like the pedal to the metal and just like do it. And like the endurance with the towel over my head, like I don't work out ever. So I really just had to sit through like a whole bunch of pain just to like show my determination and like fight to like be here, you know? So that's kind of, I hope that answers your question.
No, it does. It does. And I appreciate it. I think to your point, and I kind of mentioned this to some of the jury, like your point, I think is very important of like, you can't be social with everyone. I think that kind of differentiates you to Steven a little bit in this aspect, because like Steven being social with everyone is kind of biting him in the ass right now. Like he is arguably the most social, or up there at least, and has a lot of relationships, but like in a game like this for me, like it's sometimes is not that great, especially if you can't necessarily like seize the opportunities and like really make the moves. And for me, you were one of the people along with Roy and Austin, and I've talked to both of them since I got out, but like it got to a point where like I knew where I was kind of, and I had to have like a few people in my mind that were like easy to vote out that I wouldn't have to like betray, because if it got down to it, like me getting Sam out would have been like kind of a backstab, or me getting Pat out would have been like a backstab. Whereas like, because you and I, or like whoever, the lines were drawn at that point, like you probably had the exact same mindset as me. It was like, there's no point in trying to create this like fake relationship. And like you knew you were probably going to try and get me out sooner rather than later. The funniest shit was when you messaged me at the final 6 and you were like, hey, and it was like the first time we had talked in like a while. And you were like, I don't want to vote, or I don't want to go in the pit. Can you keep me out? And I was like, yeah, can you keep me out? And then we both actually voted each other in the pit. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm pretty good. Like, this is kind of the jury if they're listening, but I think Eddie could win this game against a lot of people, but I really actually respect Sam's game a lot. Like
You have 1 minute left, Chris.
Thanks. The way she kind of said something, I think in her statement or to answer someone else's questions, was like she took her game into her own hands. Like I think at a certain point, like maybe final 10 or like whatever, I'm just kind of picking a number, but like she had a multiple avenues to get to the end. Like if somehow Patrick had gotten out earlier, like early jury, like I'm sure, and it probably would have been the same. Like I would have gone to Sam and been like immediately trying to get way closer than we were. And I think she might have done the same. If Roy had stayed in the game, I'm pretty sure she had Roy as an outlet with you and with Eddie, Roy, and Sam. Like she just had so many like working relationships where people were like trusting her, and it ended up being in her favor and in her wheelhouse to like kind of determine who she cut when. So I give her a lot of credit. It sucks that I couldn't balance cups and get her out at final 5 or some shit, but overall, all 3 of you, well done for making it all the way. It's really hard to get all the way to the end. So good luck to all you guys. Rock on.
Thanks, Chris. King of getting eliminated when no one expects. Chris LeCompte, everyone. Oh, Chris. All right. So now we're going to go back to the juror that we missed. So, Austin. So he should be here in a minute. And we did get word that Robbie won't be able to make it, so you only have 5 jurors left to go, guys. Thanks, Sam. I'm just sitting here eating my Halo Top looking like a jackass now because he's not here. Oops. All right, we're going to give him like another minute, and then if he doesn't come back, we're going to go to the next juror for the second time.
He's asked for the link.
Oh, in his prod chat. Oh, and even though he can't be here, Robbie says he loves all 3 of you and wishes you the best of luck. Or something like that. Yeah, and he's proud of you all.
Love Robbie.
I love him.
That doesn't sound like him. Just kidding.
All right, Austin, you have 10 minutes.
Hi! Hi, y'all. How are y'all? So glad you could pick up my call. Is that oatmeal, Jordan?
No, I'm eating blueberry crumb Halo Top.
So, how's everybody doing?
Lovely.
I have a lot of hard-hitting questions
Doing well.
today. Okay? Because, Steven, you're not getting my vote. Sam, what's your favorite LaCroix?
Oh, this is so boring. I like the really plain one. And then I put lemon in it.
Really?
Yeah. I buy the plain one all the time, and then I put the lemon in it.
Hard-hitting questions.
Apologies.
You're supposed to say the best flavor LaCroix is plain?
Get the cherry limon one.
That's fancy, you rich. Oh, she's answering the question like she won already. Oh, damn, okay. Fancy LaCroix. Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't come prepared for this.
I didn't come prepared either. I was asleep. Hi, Eddie.
Hi. Sorry, I had to unmute myself.
Eddie.
Yes.
I don't know what to ask you. Because we're all here for you at the jury.
Yeah.
We're all here for you.
Oh, thank you guys.
So what was your turning point? Because everybody was like, hey, here's the turning point in my story of the game. So when did that happen for you?
Definitely the Cody vote. I think that's the vote that I really was like, you know what? I am sick of being like just targeted by association. So if I need to like do something to break that mold, then I'm gonna do it. And then it was kind of like a multi-phase turning point, because even after that, I was still getting associated with the same group of people. And when I saw the opportunity to kind of get Gabe, I was like, well, if this doesn't prove it, then I really don't know what I can do to show these people that I am not like lumped in on this side. So that was kind of where I think the Gabe and Cody vote combined kind of put me into like this whole new, because the game changed drastically after that. Like the two leaders of each side were gone, so it was kind of like an open playing field. And that's when I started making a bunch of like unexpected kind of connections. Like for example with Sam, like my little bond with Steven. You and I started talking more. My bond with Robbie and Roy and Curtis was going strong. So I think that was kind of where I really kind of like took charge behind the scenes more so no one really looked at me. They were all kind of bigger threats than me, so I was kind of able to sneak under there, you know?
Yeah, I'll give you that. So you feel like Cody's like exit was your big opening for this whole game?
Yeah, I mean, that and the Gabe thing. I mean, the Cody one was when I first was like, wow, I'm getting targeted because I'm associated with this alliance. So I'm going to not sit here, twiddle my thumbs, and feel bad for myself going in the pit. I'm going to go out there and scramble. Like, I'm here in All Stars. I'm not just going to sit and complain like some people, I guess, did. I just kind of like went out there and did it, you know? And same with the Gabe thing. I wasn't going to sit in the pit and just do an easy vote.
Can I say pussy? Is that one of the words I can say? Can I say pussy?
Yeah.
All right, Steven. I have a question for you, actually.
Yeah.
At what point in this game did you get a spine?
Oh, probably final 8,
All right.
7. Admittedly, too late.
No further questions. Thank you.
Yep.
I love y'all. Olive juice.
Bye.
Okay.
That was fun.
King of Georgia, Austin Baden, everyone. All right. All right. Next person is on the way. Or they will be on the way. And before they get here, once they're on their way, I just want to give a shout out because they graduated college today. So congrats to this person.
Who graduated college today?
Who?
The next juror.
Oh, I think it's Roy.
Roy.
I'm so up to date on social media, everyone.
He's got that organzy on notification.
So, yeah. Finally about to finish this stupid pint of ice cream. I'm very happy because I don't like this flavor that much.
That's like the flavor I wanted to try because like I love blueberry ice cream.
Good. It's good, but like not the biggest fan of like the aftertaste.
Are there chunks of any like pie or anything in it?
It's like I mean, they probably say it's pie, but it's probably some healthy bullshit.
The faces that you're making do not make me want to eat this, Jordan.
It's good, but like
There's people that's like, this is so good, but you're making the face like.
It's literally honestly just the aftertaste, but I'm trying to figure out what the little crumbs are. Pie crust pieces. Like it's not bad, it's just the aftertaste.
Oh my gosh, that makes me definitely try it.
All right, Roy, you have 10 minutes.
Can I just say first of all, I have 2 things to say. The first thing that I have to say is, can we just notate the shit poor hosting that has been Jordan Rosenberg? Bitch, you don't respond to anything. You're always talking about how fucking gay you are. You're going to get that ugly ass tattoo and fuck your body up. I mean, honestly, it's a mess. I'm sorry.
I sent you the link. All right, we're not allowed to congratulate Roy on graduating college anymore. Screw him.
Congrats.
Oh no, I have 10 whole minutes. There will be more time for that later. So, okay. So, girl, I feel like everyone has been really harsh to Steven. Girl, you really don't have nobody's vote. But I do want to have everyone just take some time. So I'm going to have Eddie and Sam one by one talk Steven up, build his spirits up. So we're going to start in reverse alphabetical order. So we're going to start with Sam. So I just want you to take like maybe 30 seconds to like a minute and just really talk up Steven and just build his spirits up. So you can begin.
Oh my God, Steven, I've already told you all of this, so this is gonna be repetitive as hell. But you have the best social game of anyone on this cast. Like, you're the sweetest. You get along with everyone. Like, it's not your fault that like people aren't gonna vote for you just because you just didn't do any game moves. You have all the ability to do game moves, and I hope to hell in future games you take your social skills and just decide to fucking cut people because you have it in you. I believe it.
Wow, that's powerful. Okay, Eddie.
I'm actually so glad Roy asked this because I was kind of sitting here and I hope it'll come off as super corny, but like I just felt like really bad for Steven because like, I don't know, like growing up, I was always kind of like the kid that kind of like got the shit end of the stick. And like, I know it's just a game in Final Tribal, it shouldn't be taken personally, but like I felt really bad for Steven because he's really like a nice person. And I do get the jurors' frustration with him because for the first like half of the game, I felt the same way. But once you get to know him, he really is like a really good person and like he's super caring. And that's why he gets far all the time and people like him because he's like super, super sweet. And like, I don't know, I just feel like, I mean, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but like if you're not going to vote for someone, I would just kind of just not do it and like try to keep spirits high because it's just a game that we play to have fun, you know? So Steven, you're an amazing person and I'm so glad we got to like bond this game. And yeah, I hope you feel better after this. I feel so bad.
Thanks.
Okay, so now that we've had some time to talk you up, maybe what I'm about to say to you won't seem as bad. So I want for you, because I will assume that you're... Oh my gosh, these bitches won't leave me the fuck alone. Okay, I'm going to assume that you're going to play more games. Okay, and I know that you know a lot of people in the community and whatnot, and that's fine and everything. No one's knocking you for playing games and knowing people. But I think that the main thing is that if you're going to sign up to play, a wise woman from 10gauge.com, the worst website on the internet, once said, yeah, if you sign up to play the game, you need to play the game where the game plays you. Now, you did make it to the final 3, but the game ended up playing you because you talked to all of these people and you didn't own up to anything. You, like, I know me personally, if something happened, we built a relationship towards the end of the game. If something happened and we didn't end up on the same side of the vote, you would stop talking to me. Like, stop talking to me. And I know that that's the case for everybody. So you can't do that and then expect for people to come here and then be like, oh, well, he played a GOAT game. Let's give him a win. No, I mean, it's just not realistic. So that's basically what I wanted to say, girl. It's a hard knock life. Tough titty. That's the way the cookie crumbles.
No, girl, you're good. I appreciate it.
So I would just like to say, how much time do I have left, Jordan?
About 5.5 minutes.
Cool. So I would just like to say to both Eddie and Sam, I'm very proud of you two. I think I said to the both of you that if I could not win, which let's just be honest, I wasn't fucking winning this game. I'm too slanderous. That I wanted either one of you to win. I feel like Sam, you are just a slanderous, under the radar, just magnificent, marvelous queen, just snatching hairlines. And they don't even know it. Like, they go up to reach for their hairline and it's not there. It's standing in the back room. It's gone. It's out of the building. And then you have Eddie over here who just fights for his life and everything that he does. And I'm so proud of you because, like, with everything that you've done, I was literally there every step of the way with you, supporting you because I knew that you would go farther than me. I just knew that you would because you were much more consistent with talking to people. I know how hard you worked, and especially towards the beginning of the game, how popular you are with other players and them wanting to talk to you and how hard you worked, even getting fucking mono and still making an effort to talk to people. I feel like and mono is like no joke. And I feel like that's just like a testament to how strong of a player that you are and how hard you played this game. I guess what I would want to say to the both of you is, Sam, I would like for you to name more instances where you were more proactive. You know, I feel like you definitely do a good job at playing like the whole nonchalant, I'm a, you know, live action form of Daria type tease where you're just sort of like nonchalant, like, girl, it wasn't me, so let's just move on to the next round. And that's cute and everything, but I want for you to show like more instances where you're like, you know, just like a badass bitch. You know what I mean? Not that you aren't, but just like battered. You know what I mean? And like Eddie, I feel like the same thing with you. I feel like you definitely were an underdog, but I would like for you to show people more instances where you were really that bitch. And I feel like there are a lot of instances. I feel like that's more so your responsibility. I'm not gonna sit here and name off instances because that's your job. Yeah, I would like to see that more in the next jurors that come up. Just something that I feel like could help supplement both of your chances of winning this game. How much time do I have left, Jordan?
You have about 3 minutes.
Okay, so the both of you, I would like for you to take 1 minute each and compliment my hair. So since last time we started in reverse alphabetical order, we're going to start in alphabetical order. Eddie, compliment my hair.
Okay, your hair is really iconic because my sister had dreadlocks growing up and I did not like them. I was like, girl, those are a mess. But like you have like completely changed my outlook on them. I am such a fan. And I always think when I think of your dreadlocks about your season 4 intro video when you did that like head flip and it was in slow motion.
Just wait for this intro video if Jordan ever gets
like
up.
Jellyfish kind of tentacles. I loved it. But yeah, your hair. And I like how it's like multicolored too.
Did you say tentacles? You say tentacles?
Like jellyfish ones when they like swim. It's like in slow motion.
Okay, Sam, can you go now, please, before the moment is ruined?
Roy, your hair literally moves in slow motion no matter what you do. It is that perfect. Like, I can't see it in normal speeds, okay? It is wonderful.
Oh my gosh. I feel so good. I feel like I did such a great job. So yeah, that's really all. If y'all can't tell, I'm like slightly drunk right now. So yeah, that's it. Good luck to everyone. Just do whatever the fuck you gotta do. Lie. The game ain't over. If you gotta lie about something, fucking lie. Tell that fucking lie if you need to. Shit. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Good luck.
Thanks, Roy. All right. Next person on the way. Oh, excuse me, that was disgusting. Come on, next juror.
This is what producing power is like too. Always waiting on you guys.
All the time.
Always waiting on us. I had a few messages to you guys. I was always waiting on you.
I was at work and I found someone to help me.
I mean, okay. To be fair, it's always waiting on you guys and Jordan.
Okay, true. There were a few times you did have to wait on me, but I'm usually pretty quick about responding.
The best way to is to blow his phone up.
That yeah, honestly, if you need to get my attention, you blow up my phone.
30 text messages in a row, and then he'll answer.
Whoops. All right, where is? They were just here. Where did they go?
I feel like there's a trap door when I click the link.
Yeah, seriously, what's going on? I'm gonna give them like another minute, and then if you're not here, oh, there she is.
Hi, wait 1 sec,
Hey, Kirsten, you have a minute. 10 minutes whenever you're ready.
You have 1 minute.
I promise this won't be too long. I just like, okay. So, obviously I didn't have very close relationships to you, Steven, and you, Sam. Eddie was probably the only person out of you that I talked to regularly. So I'm just basing this mostly off of what other jurors have asked you and your answers and whatnot. So my first question is to Sam. I just wanted to know, Sam, was it your initial strategy to go behind a bunch of guys and to kind of like get them to be your meat shields, or was that something that you like just gradually did after the first couple of weeks of the game?
Oh no. I thought I was outperforming most of them most of the time, especially in like immunity challenges and stuff. The only person who really was the biggest competition for me challenge-wise, and I guess I say that lightly, that's super mean. The other person I saw was the biggest challenge threat was Patrick. So he was just someone I aligned with, like socially, we got along very well and we strategized the same. But I knew after a few rounds he was going to be a meat shield, which was great. So it worked down the line. But no, I never really saw like a lot of the guys I worked with as being bigger targets than me, I guess. That's cool that it came across that way.
So to further off of that, what exactly did you do to make yourself not be seen as a target or a threat by the other side?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. I know a lot of people saw me as being really close with Bryce, and so I was expecting people to more come for me, and that's why I was gunning really hard for immunities early. I couldn't tell you. I think I tried to like just make really close relationships with a majority of people and at least be social with people that I didn't know where they were voting. This way, if they had to vote with a group of people that I knew were against me, maybe they'd do like, as Eddie was coming to me and saying, would you just throw a vote just so it wouldn't be on me? Maybe I could go to them and say the same. So like Kurt was one of those people that I kind of maintained a little bit of a relationship with. Like Cody was one of those people too early on, where I was like, let me be as social as possible. We may not ever vote the same, but maybe if I know that my name's getting thrown out, I can at least go to them and be like, hey, could you just like throw a vote off of me? Or what are the thoughts on that? And like Eddie, when I threw a vote off of him, I was like, hey, I'm going to ask you for the same at some point. Is that cool? And he was like, yeah, no problem. I was like, perfect. So it was kind of keeping my core group and then having a few extra people to kind of reach out to in case like I needed 1 or 2 extra votes to keep me out of people's mouths, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem.
Eddie, I'm gonna turn to you next. Honestly, like everybody is praising you and adoring you, but like literally when you see my confessionals, like the first 2 weeks, I was just like, Eddie is literally like my person in this game. I love him so much. Like I just bow down to you. And when you flipped on the Cody and then the Gabe vote without telling me, I like cried so hard. Like that's the only time I cried the entire game because I was like, oh my god, Eddie betrayed me. Like this is the moment. Yeah. So I just like wanted to tell you that because you were the reason why I cried in this game. I hope you know. My question to you is I mean, everybody, you basically already explained why you did that. And like, I honestly, like, you got to do what you got to do. Like, I appreciate that from a game standpoint. And while I was really upset at the time, like, at the end of the day, it's understandable why you did that. My question to you is, why did you do that without telling people that you were already aligned with, without like expecting any backlash of any sort? Because if, for example, Dustin and myself and whatnot had made it further, we would have turned on you for like turning on us, I guess. So what's your explanation behind not exactly like informing us?
Okay, so with the Cody one, I didn't even know how I was gonna vote until I got home because my 2 real life friends were like fighting at the time. So the whole day I was at like 5 hours with one, 5 hours with the other. So when I got home, it was just an hour before deadline, and Curtis told me that my name was going around like wildfire. And I was like, oh my goodness. So I immediately just had to go into survival mode and get it off of me. And then the Gabe vote, I did not know you liked me that much at all. Like, I always thought that you like, because I know you were busy with finals and stuff, but I just really never knew where you stood because we didn't really have a whole lot of game talks or whatever. We just like talk like when votes were coming up and stuff. And I thought that if I told you that this was like
5 minutes left. Sorry to interrupt, Eddie.
This was like one of my times where I was kind of like, I wish I kind of went about this differently, but it had to do what I had to do. I wish I like didn't ghost you for that amount of time, but I was just worried that if I told you or Dustin that I was flipping, that you would go to Gabe and tell him, and then Gabe would run around for like 24 hours just blowing my whole game up to everyone. And I was like, and that's why right after when we had that live night thing, I got together with a group of people and we all talked about writing you and Jess's name down. And I was like, oh, that will be so perfect because if one of those goes, and which case you did, I was like, I won't have to deal with that backlash. And like some of this game is luck, so I guess luck kind of helped me out because you did get eliminated that round.
This is just a side note, but literally Dustin and I were totally planning on flipping on Gabe anyways. So like you saying that was just like, or like you doing it without like informing was like kind of a blindside. But anyways, yeah, I'm just letting you know, Gabe, I wanted to Gabe out like the second week of this game, but that's the point. Like, anyways,
I wish we talked more.
I'm sorry, like I was not active in this game at all. Anyways, there was another question. Steven, I just wanted to say, like, you, even though, like, you're getting a lot of backlash for your game and whatnot, you're an amazing person to talk to. Like,
thank you.
There's more, like, I'm a game bot, and, like, you were just a nice breath of fresh air to talk to at the end of the day. Like, you didn't have to talk anything strategic-wise or anything, but, like, when we could talk, even though we didn't talk a lot, it was just like, wow, I'm having a nice conversation with Steven and I don't have to worry about the rest of the game. So I just wanted to say that, like, even if people are, like, saying that you don't deserve to be here, you deserve to be here. You don't deserve to win, but you deserve to be here because of how great of a person you are and the relationships you've made in the game to make it this far. So that's essentially all I wanted to say. Best of luck to all three of you, I guess. And yeah, congrats on making Final 3.
Thanks, Kirsten. All right. Second to
That
last.
was really sweet. It's like the nicest one I've gotten so far.
I can't believe I made her cry. I feel horrible.
Eddie, how could you?
Oh my God.
There's 2 more jurors left, and then your closing statements, and then voting. So we'll probably end a little ahead of my tentative schedule. So, yay.
About 11 hours ahead of schedule.
Okay, AM and PM's really hard, Jen. When Dustin loads, I will tell him what he has. Dustin,
Hello, hi.
There you are. You have 10 minutes.
Hi. Hopefully this isn't too bad, the audio, that is. Anyways, hello everyone, first and foremost. Thanks for production for casting me into All-Stars and making this crazy intense game for all of us. It was crazy as fuck. And I love y'all, so there's that. Secondly, because they might kill me if any of them are watching, shout out to the Big Ballers and shout out to Cacti because there's... Third, hello finalists. I don't really have questions. I just have a couple statements about each of you. Mosey on out of here. I'll start with Steven first. Steven, I wanted to work with you coming in this game, but it just didn't work out. Why you suddenly came for my life at final year, but whatever, I guess. Moving forward into other games, I think you should try to be emotional with and connected to people, because that is your downfall. You knew that people considered you a GOAT most of this game, but you didn't change anything and think otherwise. And I feel like you can potentially win a game in the future if you would just disconnect a little bit from personal connections to people. And that's all I have to say. Sam, hi. I really, honestly, was pretty devastated when you fucking cut me, when you had told me for rounds and rounds and rounds that it was going to be us. So I don't understand the point. You route to the finals finale. I think you had a lot of good allies. I don't really understand the point of lying to my face for like 4 rounds, but you know, nothing changed from our first season. Here we go. You got to the finale. I didn't vote for you. I'm not going to this time. I'm going to stay to that word. So there's that. And finally, hello, Eddie. Eddie, we had a very horrible, rocky point in this game, but for love to talking to you, I think you and I had a good relationship. We worked well the majority of the game until a couple of rounds fought for like 48 hours straight. But at the end of the day, out of the 3 people left, you were the most loyal to me. You were the most honest to me that we fought. I still love you, bitch. And I wish you the best. I wish all 3 of you the best. I do on a personal level. I think that Fred, Eddie, our friendship's great. Sam, even though I didn't really work with you, we actually got to talk and hang out and actually enjoy each other's company this time around. But good luck, everybody, and I will talk to you.
All right, guys, last juror is
That was so sweet.
Was he cutting out for anyone else?
Yeah, that was okay. I'm just glad that wasn't just me.
I didn't know it was just me. Wish he would have let me talk. I voted him out because he was gonna vote me out at 4, and I found out about it.
You get to say.
Wait, someone's there with you? I thought you had to get Matt from the airport after finale.
No, he sent me the wrong flight itinerary. He actually got in like 20 minutes ago. Stop. You sent me the wrong one. That's why when I left during Roy's, it's because the doorbell rang. I was like, oh God, he's here.
I would have been like, you can wait outside.
Like, we got 30 more minutes, bitch. You're waiting.
All right, the last juror, like Patrick, if you're watching this, like come join, because like I see you talking in the jury, and I told you to come. So there you go.
Am I on?
Yeah, you have 10 minutes, bud.
Okay, I have to be like kind of quiet because I'm like in this basement of my friend's parents' house. They're all sleeping. I'm on a trip right now. I have not seen any of the finale. I've been trying to follow the chat as much as I can. Can you hear me also? Okay.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
a
yeah.
dryer
We
going-
can hear you.
The Wi-Fi is not great, and there's a dryer behind me going off. So if it gets loud, I'm sorry. I only see 3 of you. Oh, there's Eddie. Hi, Eddie. Okay, so first of all, congrats to all 3 of you on getting here. I certainly have a idea of what I'm doing tonight, but I'm still want to do my due diligence and be here. So the first thing I want to ask is something I ask in every game because I think it tells a lot about the jurors and their self-awareness. I want to know from the 3 of you, whose votes on the jury you think you have tonight at this point. First up can be Eddie.
Okay, I think I have Roy and Curtis because I was very close with them in the game. Dustin told me, well, he told us that he was voting for me, so I think that would be it. I think that Jess is on the bubble. I think she's going back and forth between Sam and I. Kirsten, I could see voting for me based off of what she said. And Austin, I think, is also probably on the bubble between Sam and I. And Chris, I think, is voting for Sam.
Okay, Steven.
That's my answer. No, I'm going into this not assuming I have any. So, yeah.
Sam?
I think I have Dustin's. No, I don't have fucking Dustin's. I think I have Chris's. I think I have yours. We played the closest together, so you know what I've done and what I haven't. I think maybe Jess, maybe Austin. He asked me such poignant questions, so I can't see why not. Those are maybe the only ones like I'm very for sure about. The other ones I'm not sure. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
Where was I going to go with this? It's been a day, guys. I had two more. I had two more things to say. Okay. So, as Steven knows from a few years ago, I really like to use my jury time to, I don't know, be like, protest my love or like be an attorney and speak politically on behalf of someone. And I'm going to do that again. Because Sam, you're so fucking amazing. And this is my 8th jury, and I have never played with someone that I think is so deserving of a win. The way you masterfully handled everything from the start of this game, you, like, from final 9, whatever that live night was, I think like last Monday, from that live night on, you were literally never even a consideration. You made it through all of those final inside pit votes without ever getting a vote or even being considered for one. You convinced me to throw 2 immunities at the end so that you could sit here with these 2. You blew my mind with the game that you played. And it was so intentional and it was so calculated. You came into this saying that the reason you decided to play again or play this game the first time was to prove that you're better than your brothers, and you did that. You did that so well. And I'm so proud of you. But I told you the night I left, I told you, oh man, we need to be worried about Eddie being at the end of this. And you were like, what are you talking about? And the jury is proving that tonight, and they've proved that since I joined it. It's going to be close. But I was right, and they have shown me that. And I think there are people that have shifted the way that they've leaned throughout the night. And I was hoping, I really, like, your resume is so strong, and I think that I was hoping you were going to be able to come into this. And again, I haven't seen tonight, but I was hoping you were going to be able to come into this and correct your mistakes from your first season and own why you're better than these 2. So I want you to do it right now. You have like the last minute or 2 of my time to convince the rest of this jury, like you have to me all game, why you deserve to win over these 2.
Okay.
5-minute warning, by the way.
Listen, if it's against me and Eddie,
you get 2 minutes.
Okay, you cut me off whenever. If it's between me and Eddie, I think Eddie's a strong player. I think he's a socially strong player, but I don't think he could have won immunities like I did. It's the same thing. Like, I don't think Steven could have won the last 2 immunities if I hadn't thrown them so obviously and convinced you to throw them. I think Eddie couldn't have been here today if it weren't for me and you saving him for live night and getting our alliance of Dustin, Chris, and Steven to put him at the bottom of the pecking order that night. I don't think he'd be here. I think people should take that into consideration. Like, Eddie wouldn't be at this point if it weren't for me. I think I threw votes off of him a few times. I think the biggest moves he made were with me. So if that's what you're considering, like, make sure it's even. Like, we did those moves together. Like, I don't think he pulled off a single move on his own that wasn't with me or like with my blessing. Like, getting Jess out, that was mostly me coordinating that, and he went along with it because it was good for him. I don't think he was going to reach out to people to get that to happen, or I don't think he had the same pull that I did to get that to happen. I know that's really mean, but I guess people want me to be cutthroat. I know that's what I did wrong my first game, is people said I wasn't cutthroat enough during the finale night. So here's me being cutthroat. I think I made a lot of big moves this game. I think I made myself, it's shocking to me that people didn't target me more, because I think I put myself in a position to be targeted, where he was losing a lot of immunities in the beginning of the game. I was winning a bunch of immunities. So when I wasn't winning immunities and I was in the middle, it was shocking me that people didn't vote me into the pit more. Whereas he was an easy name for people to say because they didn't consider him to be threatening. Did I hit 2 minutes yet? I don't want to like take up all your time.
Right, that was perfect.
Okay.
So I guess, you know, just to kind of attest all that, I know not everyone got to see your game the same way that I did, but oh my God, jury and everyone, the amount of meticulous planning that Sam put into this game every day while she was working from home and sending me 11 to 15 consecutive Skype chats about what needed to happen this round. It was, you know, a lot of times it was very much on the same page as me, and I'm not trying to give her, you know, credit for everything we did together, but this girl killed this fucking game. And the mistakes that she made in her first season, she fixed, and she was a cutthroat bitch, and she was so well thought out. And I'm just so proud of your game. Eddie and Steven, I adore you two. I had so much fun playing with you. I know that you did work to get here, absolutely. But I think, Sam, you stand head and shoulders above everyone else. And I was mind blown by your game. I hope you get this win, and I'm so happy and proud of you. And that's all I have.
Thanks, Pat. All right, guys. So now we're going to go to closing statements. We're going to go in reverse order from earlier. So Sam, you will start with your closing statement. You have 5 minutes if you need it.
Okay, shoot. I don't think I need 5 minutes. I think a lot of people kind of spoke to the things that I was trying to get across in my opening statement that I'm sure I like fumbled all over. Especially towards the end of the game, but even in the beginning, I always had avenues to work with, no matter where I was, no matter who was going home. Like, I always had groups where I wasn't just like, oh, let's pick Sam up as a number. I was someone people came to for advice. I was someone people came to for votes, for who they wanted to work with as like a group decision. People wanted to know what I wanted to do. I was never someone people came to and was like, hey, vote this way. They were like, what do you want? We don't want to piss you off. A big thing, like, I know I had to backstab a lot of the people in the jury. I think that's because I had better relationships with a lot of you than like Eddie did, or I'm sure Steven had really good relationships. I won't like talk badly against him. I think I had a lot of good working relationships with a lot of you in the jury, and unfortunately I did have to stab a lot of you in the back. But hopefully that's a testament to how good my game was and not how shitty of a person I was. Like, I never saw myself as hiding behind anyone else in this game. I always thought I played hard. I thought I won a lot of immunities, and I really proved myself as like a really worthy ally in this game and someone who could strategically work through a lot of different scenarios with people. And when I was working with some of you versus when I wasn't, like, I think you saw where my mind was at and where I could work people. And a lot of the people I was working closer with, like Patrick, like Chris, like Eddie and like Steven, like, I was able to go to the people they couldn't go to and give them information that they didn't know previously to get them to this point. I don't know. I think I made a lot of big moves. I'm not sure what else people saw or didn't see, so it's kind of hard to speak to it. But I think a lot of the things I did, even when I targeted allies, my main objective was like, where am I on people's pecking order? Am I their closest ally? Because towards the end, the people I was there with were all going to keep me no matter what. Dustin, I know, is salty as fuck about me voting him out at 5. He can deal with it. He had already told Eddie he was going to vote me out at 4. So I don't feel bad for a second voting him out at 5. I don't feel bad. But everyone else, like, I knew once I got to 4, I was fine. Even when I got to 5, I knew it was fine. Like, I think it's a testament to how I've played this game and how I've strategized and who I've decided to work with and my self-awareness in this game. And I think that's what got me here more than anything, was being aware of where I was at all times and who I was working with and who to trust more than others at different points and who to vote with in certain rounds. I think I had a lot of that flexibility for that. The biggest thing I always say to people is I'm not an orger. I know people think like a lot of my decisions were stupid. I'm not an orger. This is only the second org I've played, so I don't think like an orger. I don't make decisions like an orger, and I don't consider it how I play. I consider it like I play people's personalities. I get to know people on a personal basis, and then once I know them, in that way. I feel like that's my strongest root, is knowing like when people are being more earnest with me and not based on their personalities. So hopefully that came through. I hope the fact that I was able to be kind of a target, but people didn't target me, kind of shows through in a way that like Eddie was never a major target for people. No one saw him getting to this point. No one saw him winning immunities. So I think I had to work a little harder than someone like him, and someone like Steven. I think there was always a target on my back without people having to directly come at me, I guess, because people saw me as a target, but still as someone they could align themselves with. That's where I'm at. That's it.
Thanks, Sam. Steven, you can go ahead.
Once again, I just want to thank Jordan and production and everyone for putting this together. At the end of it all, I am, despite everything that has happened this evening, I am glad I came back. I'm glad I made it here. Even though I may not be walking out of here a winner tonight, maybe not with a blanket, I'm walking out of this experience with a little more self-confidence and a little bit more sense of myself. And at this point in a game like this, where there's 22 other like crazy ass people, that's about all you can ask for in a game like this. I just want to thank the jurors again, particularly the ones who did ask me questions and allowed me the opportunity to explain myself. Thank you. Of course, I hope to God that my explanations were something, but I completely understand. With that being said, I feel like I might be tripping over my words a bit, but I just want to once again thank production, cast, everyone, and last but not least, Sam and Eddie. I am very glad I am sitting with you guys. You guys made a lot of this game so much fun for me, and I just, yeah.
Thanks, Steven. Eddie, your closing statement, please.
Okay, so this season I came in after coming in second place in my first season, and the main thing the jury told me was that my social game wasn't good and that I didn't talk to the minority or whatever. So this season I clearly made up for that because y'all seem to think I played a really good social game, which I thought, and you guys just confirmed for me. I think that I was very underestimated, which I used to my advantage, and I was able to form really good social bonds and pull moves when I had to. And yes, Sam was involved in those moves, but one person can't make a move all by themselves. You need a go-to person to make a move with. So that was an unexpected relationship that I worked off of, and it paid off, and I'm sitting here. And I honestly kind of doubted myself a little bit going into live night, thinking like I'm probably not making the end, but I overcame so much like adversity, and I'm here, and I put so much effort into this game. I would, when a pit vote came out wonky, I had this is so nerdy, but I had this like little doc on my computer with everyone's cast photos, and I would duplicate everyone's images, put all their votes on the top, and then like kind of line them up. And it worked for a bunch of rounds. Like I could see when people lied. I could tell there was one round where Chris Lecomte lied about his vote. I could tell there was one round where Robbie lied about his vote. And I was like really like, people may have thought I was just like ditzy and social, but I was really working and fighting my ass off to get here. And where Sam had the luxury of immunities, I didn't. I had to compensate with the social and strategic aspect of this game. And I think we're like yin and yang. Like we both have marbles in our jar, but they're very different valued marbles. They're both like the same value, but for very different things. So if you respect someone who wins a bunch of immunities and had control, vote for her. If you respect someone that like had to put a whole bunch of effort into different aspects and really fight their ass off to stay here, then vote for me. It's up to you guys at the end of the day. This is your all-star season, and crown whoever you think played the best to win. I think it's me, and if you think it's Sam, then that's cool too. But I just want you guys to know that I really poured my heart and soul into this season, and I would absolutely love to come out on top and redeem myself from Chatham. Thank you guys in production for casting me.
All right. So with that, you guys have survived the finale portion. So it is now time for it to switch to the jurors. So all the jurors, you can message your production chat with your vote. And once everyone has voted, we will reveal the votes. I'm going to do them, like, obviously with paper because it's a finale. So I'm not going to be a little bitch and just read the vote count.
Can I go here really quickly?
Yeah. It's going to be a few minutes. I need to write everything out. You guys can unmute and talk if you want, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Oops.
No, too many people can hear this. I don't trust it.
That was really intense, y'all.
Yeah. I can exhale now.
It just feels good.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, this game was something.
This was fun though. Yeah, everyone was pretty cool. Like,
Yeah, I enjoyed myself. Do you guys like my little finale outfit?
I thought you looked good. I was.
I'm mad I didn't get a tattoo today.
Why not? I literally told you go for it.
I know, I was so close. I went to that episode. Shut up! People can hear you. Stupid ass. That's like you should have got one that says winner. Stop.
I should have gotten it like on your forehead so when you came into finale, you'd be like, don't make me regret this.
No, it was so fun though. That's okay. It would have been very spur of the moment. I would have regretted it a lot, but it still would have been fun. I just didn't have time to wait around for the person I really wanted a tattoo from.
Aw.
It's okay. I had to make it here.
A better place to be.
It's okay. This is fun. It's fun reminiscing.
True.
When Jordan said noon tomorrow, he wasn't kidding.
I'm writing out the votes. Just a second.
I think Jordan forgot how to write.
Oh, Jen, I was messaging you. Sorry, guys. All right, let me just get back on camera. All right. Jen, oh, okay, perfect. All right, guys, let's get to the vote reveal. With there being 3 of you, it could either be 4 votes, 5 votes, 6 votes for majority or whatever, depending on vote splits, yada, yada, yada. So let's just get to it and crown the winner of All Stars. First vote. Sam. Second vote. Eddie. Third vote. Sam. Fourth vote. Eddie. That's 2 votes Sam, 2 votes Eddie, 6 votes left. Fifth vote. Sam. Sixth vote. Sam. It's 4 Sam, 2 Eddie. Seventh vote. Eddie. Eighth vote. Eddie. It's 4 votes apiece, and we have 2 votes left. So Steven, at this point, unfortunately, you are out of the running.
Color me shocked. What?
Always the bridesmaid. Ninth vote. Sam. We have 1 vote left. If it's for Sam, Sam is the winner of All Stars. If it's for Eddie, it will go to a tie with Steven voting. And if it's for Steven, Sam obviously wins. 10th vote. Eddie. We have a 5-5 tie.
Holy shit!
Since we are locked, that means it turns to Steven. So, Steven, I'm going to need you to message your prod chat a vote for Eddie or Sam because it tied 5-5. There are no outstanding voters, so there is no revote. And since you got 0 votes, you become the 11th juror and will vote the cast. You will cast the vote to win. So I'm going to need you to message your prod chat a vote, and then we will have our winner. Just another cliffhanger in this cracked ass season.
Oh, wait, final juror again. Oh my god, legend only.
So,
can I get off camera and like call
you can get off camera and vote me.
Okay, one sec.
This got too real.
Oh my god, what? That's fucking crazy.
We're just gonna end the we're gonna end the season and you can both be winners. We'll rip the blanket in half.
Oh my god, I can't believe it's come down to this. This is crazy.
I don't know what he'll do.
Me either.
Damn.
Ooh, what a fuck. Fuck, I need to get another piece of paper. No, I'll just use one of the other ones. Fuck that, I'm not getting up.
Oh my god, this is... Oh, my tummy.
Oh no.
Sam, this is truly iconic.
Yeah, who knew this would happen? I was curious what would happen if it came down to a tie. I guess, like, question answered.
Oh my god, this is literally insane. Like, we both got runner-up in our first season, and now we're tied for the win right now.
Oh gosh, at least you can't say it wasn't interesting.
Oh yeah, this is insane for sure.
Oh gosh. Why did he have to get off to message production?
I know, this is crazy.
He needs to not look us in the faces to make this vote.
I know, oh my god, I would have cried.
Oh. Oh Lord.
He should be on his way back. I think he thought he had to call to submit his vote.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, this is really something.
All right, guys.
Can I just say this is like the literally most fitting thing ever after being like, okay, it's all right. Okay.
All right, guys. I mean, I guess it really couldn't have been any closer. So I'm just going to stop babbling. I'm going to grab one of these other votes and we'll get to it. All right. So the 11th vote and the official winner of the Pit Power All-Stars, Sam. Sam, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
It was literally down to the wire. We really didn't know what was happening. So great finale by everyone. And I just want to say thank you again to everyone who played, everyone who viewed, because it was a really fun season. And if this is my last season hosting, I'm very happy that it ended on this note. Couldn't have asked for a better cast to play this season. And with that, Sam becomes the 7th winner of the series, and maybe we'll be back for season 8 soon. Who knows? Thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a great night.